Welcome to the video that is going to help you achieve your 10-year goals in 1 year, because I'm going to share with you a strategic framework that I've built over the years that we now teach to our clients that is warranted to work for you. Because if you study elite performers enough, you realize that it's never about talent, IQ, hard work, connections. All of those things, of course, help. But the true defining factor is performance. And what a key aspect of peak performance is strategic thinking. It's understanding how to do more with less, how to identify the core levers you need to pull to get to your goals much faster. In the words of Peter Thiel, what is preventing you from achieving your 10-year goals in 6 months? Most likely is having the right idea to make that happen. So this video is about how to think about your 10-year goals, how to set a plan that you actually execute on that minimizes time wasters and maximizes intrinsic motivation. I'm very excited for this video because I'm going to show you how to move like an elite performer. Once you internalize this framework, you will not be the same person. So take pen and paper and join me in this journey. Now, elite performers are created. They're not born, right? There's a process to become an elite performer. And when you move forward fast, you need to minimize mistakes. So this framework is going to show you how to do that. And element number one of achieving your 10-year goals is what? Is actually having 10-year goals, because most people don't have 10-year goals. They don't know when they are moving towards. They don't have a idea for their life they wholeheartedly believe in and they cannot wait to pursue. Truth is, elite performers are pulled towards a better future. They don't need to push themselves to do work. They're pulled towards hard work because that is a core constituent of a vision that they cannot wait to build. So the first step is having a vision, is understanding how does human motivation work. Because now we know there's research on the core drivers of intrinsic motivators, specifically the self-determination theory. Deci, that's the leading scientist, that basically postulates that once we are in perceived control of our own narrative, once we choose for ourselves an adventure for our life, and we choose to determine what happens to us, we take an internal locus of control. So we stop believing that everything that happens to us is because we choose. Then we start channeling into intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the motivation that comes from within. And it is opposite to extrinsic motivation, which is the type of motivation that comes from the outside. So extrinsic motivation is fame, money, power, whatever that is not intrinsically motivated, which is purpose, which is service, which is self-mastery. So having a vision is absolutely fundamental because it allows you to tap into self-determination theory. It allows you to start the individuation process. Individuation process is realizing that you are a unique individual with your own psychological blueprint, and your goal in life is to fully get to know yourself and craft a path and journey forward that maximizes everything that you can be. But on top of self-determination theory, we also have goal setting. Goal setting theory, which is Locke mostly, tells us that if we have hard-hitting goals, things that we absolutely believe will maximize our potential, that are outside of our comfort zone, that allow you to pull forward, then we are again able to tap into intrinsic motivation. So in essence, in order to get your 10-year goals in 1 year, you have to start with the 10-year goals. What is that vision? Think about it right now, based on who you are right now in your life. What is the best outcome you can think for your life? The thing that absolutely motivates you. If you could have anything in your life, what would that be? This is such an important question, because once you commit to that vision, the peak performance game starts. You cannot perform at your peak in anything if you have no vision. Like, try to become the best athlete that has ever existed if you had no vision on, winning at the Olympic Games. You need to have the Olympic Games in order to set yourself in motion for peak performance. You cannot become the best footballer that has ever existed if there is no World Cup or no Champions League, right? You need a goal that is hard, that is really, really motivating for you, something that actually lights your heart on fire. And as soon as you do this, you start activating, and this is very interesting, new parts of your brain. Basically, you create new conditionings in your mind in order to become everything you need to become to achieve your vision. Like, for instance, new languages, right? Imagine that you realize that you want to build I assume you're an entrepreneur. You want to build a brand that is global, that is selling in 170 countries and stuff. Well, that is going to, for instance, allow you to learn new languages much faster, because you will intrinsically motivated to learn those languages. It's going to activate new neural pathways, and this is so important. Now we know, by the recent development in epigenetics, we won't get too deep into this topic, but the idea is that we have several manifestations for each genome, right? And we only manifest the one that is better suited to the context and the environment in which we are operating. And if we change the environment, the expression of those genes can change. And the number one driver for changing your environment is what? Is having a vision you wholeheartedly believe in. Something that absolutely forces you to get out of your comfort zone. This is the most important thing. So if you right now have let's say, assume you have an agency, right? Which is a very easy business model to start. But without a very compelling vision for that agency, something that goes beyond just making money, you will not unlock peak performance, because it will not be motivating enough. You have to think about, why are you doing what you're doing, and who do you need to become in order to fulfill it? And everyone can do this. There's none of this is off balance. It doesn't matter where you are in life right now, you can set a vision. And the best thing is that vision can be as big or as small as you want, as long as it is yours. That is very important. It has to be yours. You cannot copy it from someone else, because then it's not going to work, right? It has to be a personal vision. Something you wholeheartedly believe in, something that lights your heart on fire. If it lights someone else's heart on fire, it's not going to work for you, because it's not going to be intrinsically motivated. It's not going to come from within. I hope this is clear. This is why we always have to look within. As Carl Jung said, he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens. Once you fully understand why you do what you do and who you're willing to become, peak performance starts for you. So it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter how good your situation might be. You can always do more. You can always create a bigger vision. This is the starting point for peak performance. Now, and this is something that I want to be very clear. This is fundamental, and this is where I teach goal setting in a different way than most people do, right? Because most people will tell you, have a 5-year goal, and then a 3-year goal, and then a 1-year goal, and then, okay, this is BS in my opinion, because the world is changing so absolutely fast that it doesn't make sense to set a 5-year goal, 3-year goal, 1-year goal. It doesn't make sense. Everything is changing all the time. So the thing you gotta create for yourself is a long-term goal, a vision, a 10-year arc for your life and then a 12-week roadmap. This is how you win, right? This is how you win. You have a 10-year direction for your life, and you have a 12-week roadmap in which you are progressing towards that goal, one roadmap at a time. We could draw it like this. So I guess we could do, if this is the, let's say that this is the North Star. This is North Star. And then you have one roadmap at a time. One, and then you have another one, and then you have another one, and then you have another one. And over time, you are creating feedback loops within every 12 months. In essence, you are executing 12 weeks at a time until you get to that 10-year vision. But this works because you can control 12 weeks. Roadmaps. You cannot control year-long plans. You cannot control 3-year plan. You cannot control 5-year plan. So don't waste your time setting 5-year goals or 3-year goals because they don't work. I know that a lot of people teach them, but they do not work because the world's changing too fast. So your 10-year vision will not happen as you want it to happen. It will most probably be better than you ever thought it could be because of compounding feedback loops. So your goal is to have perfect roadmaps, is to have 12-week roadmaps in which you execute flawlessly, in which you move so well towards that vision that you just achieve your goals within 1 year. I've seen this happen time and time again, so it really works. So now that we understand that we need 12-week roadmaps instead of year plans or a 3-year plan, you're ready for number 2. Number 2 is none other than understanding what are the bottlenecks. The bottlenecks is the thing that you should be focused every 12 weeks. And this is part of theory of constraints, Eliyahu Goldratt. In essence, what it says that every system will perform to the limit of its knowledge bottleneck, right? So let's say, for instance, a representation of this might be like this, right? So assuming this is a system with 3 parts, makes it very small, 3 parts, and this is, let's say, so input 1 might be, raw material for whatever. Let's assume this is a factory. This is a capacity of machines in the factory, and this is available workforce. Right? This is a system, factory system. Let's assume this is a factory. Well, this is input 1, input 2, input 3. What will the output be? Well, the output could be as high as this. But it really is going to be limited by the workforce, by the manpower that you have available. This is the output, the max output, because you need, this is what you can capture. So this is theory of constraints. This is the bottleneck. This is the thing that is preventing you from moving forward. The stuff that you really need to master or solve in order to expand capacity. If you put more people and you expand capacity, then the bottleneck becomes the capacity of the machines. And if you increase the capacity of machines, you end up having no bottlenecks and you have throughput and you can capture all of this. So this is theory of constraints. Now, as I said, you gotta find the bottleneck. And the bottleneck It's very obvious. Oftentimes, you always know what is the thing that is working the worst in your business. And your responsibility as founder, as CEO, as entrepreneur, is to find a bottleneck and only work on the bottleneck. Because any effort directed outside of the bottleneck is a waste of time and effort. Let's say that you have a marketing problems and you're not getting enough leads. Working on product, polishing your sales skills, or dialed in your operations is an absolute waste of time. If you have a lead generation problem, you've got to work on lead generation. It is what it is. This is what makes effective entrepreneurs effective. They are always understanding what is the bottleneck and tackling the bottleneck, right? So step number 2 is find the bottleneck. So examples for a business. Let's say that you want to double your business, but you have no leads. What is a bottleneck? Lead generation, right? Lead generation. Let's say that you want to lose weight and you are eating, and you're going to the gym every single day, but you're eating fast food. What do you think the bottleneck is? Is it exercise or is it nutrition? It's nutrition. There's always a most glaring issue every time, right? Every single time. Let's say that you want to have more energy, you're taking nootropics, you are, taking 5 coffees a day, but you're sleeping 4 hours per night. What do you think the bottleneck is? Is it a lack of coffee or is it a lack of sleep? It's sleep. So find the bottleneck. That is your role. In order to achieve your 10-year goals in 1 year, you need to find a bottleneck, because otherwise you're wasting your time if you're working on something that is not that bottleneck, right? Once you find a bottleneck, which it tends to be very obvious, and for businesses tends to be lead generation, it's either lead generation or operations. That's the 2 biggest kind of bottlenecks for businesses. Then you're ready for step 3, which is identify the big domino. The big domino, it is the inverse of the bottleneck. It is the opposite thing. So let's say that we have a lead generation problem. So what would be the big domino? It could be hire a CMO. Hire a chief marketing officer, someone whose whole role is to find you leads. That would be the big domino for the quarter. How to hire a good CMO. Let's say that your nutrition is out of whack. What would be the big domino? Have or create or find a sustainable diet according to your fitness needs. If you're going to the gym, if you're going consistently and you want to grow, well then have a diet that actually reflects the amount of protein that you need to have daily to achieve your fitness goals, right? So not any diet, the specific diet you need. If your sleep is out of whack, then what do you do? Well, you fix it, right? You create a sleep cocktail or revamp routine. This is how you look at this, right? First, you find the bottleneck, then you understand what is the domino. And anything that is not tackling the domino is wasting your time. Remember, the difference between average performers and elite performers is that elite performers know exactly what to do because they have a good strategic thinking. This is a very important thing that we help our clients. And the core concept behind everything that I'm sharing right now is, I didn't mention it, but it's leverage, right? Leverage is anything that basically tips the scales in the right way, that changes the relationship between inputs and outputs. If I am able to tackle a pressing problem that has a lot of effect, I'm gonna be so much more successful than someone that cannot do it. It's all about leverage. It's all about doing more with less, right? If I am working on something, I put 1 unit in and I get 1 unit out, I'm so much less leverage than someone who puts in 1 unit in and gets 100 units out. And this method that I'm sharing with you allows you to find leverage in your business, right? If you have a lead generation problem, the number one leverage solution you could have is learning how to generate leads or hiring someone who already knows. This is how you win, not by working harder on something that is not solving your lead generation problem. It's all about leverage ethic, not work ethic. Work ethic is cool, but it won't make you rich. It won't make you wealthy. It won't make you free. It will just make you probably accomplish, but that's about it, right? You don't want to, you want to win. All right, so after you have the big domino, you reverse engineer the critical path. This is the next step, right? The 4 is, no, not this one. So reverse engineer the critical path, which is the least amount of steps that you can put forward to solve the problem. So let's say that you are committed on hiring a CMO, right, to solve the lead generation problem. There's 1,000 things you could do to find a CMO. You could go on the streets and start asking every single person you encounter whether they're a CMO or not. Right? And it's going to take you 2 years to find someone who is a good candidate. That is a very low leverage way of looking or finding exactly what it is that you need. The highest leverage path is the critical path, the one with the least amount of steps, which in the case of the CMO, that would look like, well, you could hire an agency. You could ask for references. That's basically it. Or run ads. Run ads. There's the 3 ways that I would go about finding a good chief marketing officer for my business if I needed one, right? Hire an agency for this, ask for references, run ads, or do the 3 at the same time. This is a critical path. Understand what series of steps you need to take in order to get the results without the suffering. We're all about getting the result without the suffering. Is this clear? Another example would be, let's say that, back to the nutrition example, right? So if we want to change our nutrition, we can read a bunch of blogs on the internet and craft a diet, or we can talk to a nutritionist. Which option do you think is going to work better? Talk to a nutritionist or just try to piece it together from the internet? Obviously, talk to a nutritionist, high leverage. This is how elite performers think. How can I afford to waste as little time as I can to find the ideal solution? This is the core question that every single elite performers ask themselves every single day, right? It's all about high leverage actions. It's about doing less with more. High leverage actions. This is it. This is the core concept of elite performance across every single thing. Across every habit is not created equal. Every thought is not created equal. Every emotion is not created equal and is not as useful as the next one. We have to discriminate between low leverage and high leverage at all times. And this is because the universe is systematic. It's composed of systems. But we don't have time to get into that topic. It is a topic for a different video, which I can talk about. Let me know in the comments. Of course, if you want my help in how to implement this into your business so you can achieve these goals very quickly, you know where to find us. So, as I was saying, any effort outside of a critical path is wasted effort. you're literally wasting your time, right? If you do not talk to a nutrition and you piece it together through via the internet, you're wasting your time. If instead of hiring a firm or running ads or asking for references, you go on the streets and ask every random person whether they are a CMO in their industry, you're wasting your time. So important that you don't waste your time, because it is the only non-renewable resource. So please, how you think about your time really is how successful you will become. Billionaires, elite performers, they're constantly trying to minimize the time wasted. All right? Cool. So first we have the vision, then we identify the bottleneck, then we reverse it to find the big domino, and then we map out the critical path. Are we done? No, we're not done. Still a couple of steps. So next, what we do have is avoid, duplicate, work. What does that mean? It means that even if we follow the critical path down to a T, we can still very well not achieve our goals if we duplicate the work. And that means, for instance, on the CMO example, let's say that we cheap out on hiring this talent. We don't have enough budget to hire a good CMO, so we end up hiring someone who is a bad fit. Well, we literally wasted a lot of resources hiring the wrong person. This is an example of duplicated work. Another example would be, maybe you got the good guy, you're onboarding a good CMO, but then what happens? You don't share, you don't share all the info he needs to perform. You don't give him access to key accounts. You don't keep him accountable to goals you set together. In essence, you do not manage him in the right way in order to have a chance at winning, right? So this is what I mean by avoiding duplicate work. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, they work super hard trying to do a lot of things, but then none of them really stick because they're not done intensely enough. They need to rework their stuff, right? So this is what I mean by avoiding duplicate work. In the case of the nutritionists, what would duplicate work look like? Well, you go to the nutritionist and then you don't really care. Like you don't do what you're told. You don't follow the diet. Or you develop an insatiable hunger for donuts. So you're offsetting all the nutrition gains from the diet. There's a lot of ways of creating duplicate work for yourself, right? Which leads me to the final point. The final point is obviously one of the hardest, but it is one of the most important, which is sacrifice the trivial. Which means don't do what doesn't need to be done. Don't work on stuff that is not aligned with the plan. Anything outside of the critical paths, anything that is not aligned with tackling the big domino is trivial. If you devote time to operations when you should be focused on lead generation, you are wasting your time. You're squandering your attention on things that don't need to be done. If you are following a diet that the nutritionist gave you, but they start banging out Doritos every day, then guess what? You're not going to make it. You're not going to achieve your goals. You have to sacrifice the Doritos, the trivial, in order to get the important. So this is how you do it. This is so important. It's not only about identifying the most important thing and being strategic with your time, but it's also about making sure the execution is sound, right? I see a lot of folks fucking this a step. This is why we teach strategy and execution separately, right? Because first you set the plan, then you execute on it. First you set the plan, then you execute on it, and you get feedback. So this is how you do it. This is how you move like an elite performer. This is how you achieve your 10-year goals in 1 year. And you do that in 4 quarters, right? So first, you understand what is the goal. And so you said, you know what? I'm going to be having this very clear, boom, trajectory towards the goal, right? If you set this goal the right way, it is already a 2 or 3 year worth goal, because you'll be very strategic with what is the thing that you need to achieve in order to get further faster. As Peter Thiel said, what is preventing you from achieving your 10-year goal in just 6 months? So this is how you do it. And every single week you are moving. This is what we teach to our clients. You are moving, taking feedback, moving faster, and eventually to succeed. And then after that Q1, we recommend our people to take 1 week off and really reflect in order to what? To create the next one. Create the next that they execute with intensity. And this is so over time, you become everything you could become by moving like an elite performer. This is the path. This is how you win. It's not about working hard. It's not about manifesting. It's not about law of attraction. It's not about thinking positively. All of those things can probably help you find a calmer, more relaxed state of mind. But the goal is to strategically move forward without wasting time. As a recap, right? Again, implement this in your life. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not. It doesn't matter how big your business is. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you learn to think like an elite performer, because we all have 24 hours in the day, but the results among us are vastly different. And it's all a matter of leverage, right? So first, have the vision. Understand what the vision is. Why are you here? What is the 10-year goal you're willing to pursue? Then identify the biggest bottleneck. Then reverse it to find a big domino. What is the thing that, if achieved, will make everything else easier? Then reverse engineer and find the critical path. Don't go on the street asking every single soul whether they are an accomplished CMO in your industry, because it's not going to work. Imagine it works. Imagine you actually do it, go outside, and the second person is exactly what you need. That will be, as Carl Jung will call it, as serendipity. So, but don't bet on serendipities. Just be strategic. So find critical paths. Then what? Avoid duplicate work. So in this case, hire well. Give the CMO the resources he needs in order to win at the business. And finally, sacrifice the trivial. Don't work on ops if you have a marketing problem. Don't develop an insatiable hunger for donuts if you're following a diet to maximize your gym gains, right? So this is the strategic framework we teach at Selfmastered, right? This is going to make you so much more successful. Have a vision you wholeheartedly believe in. Understand that every effort outside of the bottleneck is wasted, so find the biggest bottleneck. Then understand what is the best way of solving that bottleneck. What is the big domino? Then understand what is the best way to actually solve the domino. What is the consecutive series of actions in order to solve it? Avoid duplicate work. Don't do things you know don't need to be done in order to stay in a critical path. And finally, sacrifice the trivial. let go of everything that is not aligned with that vision that you are trying to achieve. All right, so I hope this was useful. If you want our help to install this in your business and achieve your yearly goals in 3 months and your 10-year goals in 1 year, thanks to compounding, book a call with us and we'll help you. We'll help 6, 7, and even 8-figure entrepreneurs do this and so much more things to become elite performers. And in the meantime, check out this video because it's going to go deeper into what makes elite performers different and how you can overall win at life. Onwards. See you in the next video.